Hello, everyone. This is part two of business organizations. Yesterday, we talked about various forms of business organizations: sole proprietorships, general partnerships, limited partnerships, limited liability partnerships, and limited liability companies. Today, we're going to continue talking about various forms. And the first one we're going to talk about is corporations. All right, corporations are the dominant form of business organizations in the United States. 85% of gross business receipts in the United States come from corporations. All right, so they're huge. Corporations are owned. Owners, how many? How many people are in a corporation, make up a corporation? It could range from one to thousands. Okay? So you can set up a corporation just as a single person. This is my corporation, or a corporation could have thousands of owners. The owners are called shareholders. All right, we've all heard that: shareholders, stockholders. So your corporation can have one share of stock owned by one person, and that's you. Or it could be like Apple or Microsoft, where it has thousands upon thousands of shares, therefore has thousands upon thousands of owners. Corporation is a legal entity. It is considered by the Supreme Court of the United States to be a legal entity or an artificial person. It can sue. A corporation can sue, and it can be sued. You can sue a corporation, and the corporation can sue you. A corporation can enter into and enforce contracts. All right. So business, Microsoft can enter into contracts for whatever reasons if it so chooses. They can hold title and transfer real property. When I say real property, I mean buildings, land, that kind of thing. And can be found civilly and criminally liable for violating law. All right? So I kind of ought to think that a corporation can be held criminally liable for violating the laws of the United States. It has happened, but the question is, who goes to jail? Well, usually they just pay a fine. All right. Unique characteristics of corporations. Corporations are liable for its own contracts and debts. All right. Whereas a sole proprietorship, you're responsible for your debts. A corporation is liable for its own contracts and debts. The shareholders, however, the owners, have limited liability. The liability is to the extent of their capital contribution. Same thing for like a limited partner. All right? So corporations are liable for contracts and debts, which means the shareholders are responsible, but the shareholders are only have liability up to what their capital contribution initially was. Additionally, shares can be transferred. All right, so you can buy shares. I can buy shares. We can go to the stock market. We can get a broker, and we can buy shares on the open market. Corporations are in perpetual existence. They're in existence forever, unless otherwise stated in the articles of incorporation. So you form a corporation, it's forever, or until it dissolves. It could dissolve at any time, unless it's otherwise stated in the articles. Okay, so this corporation is only good for 10 years or 5 years or 3 months, whatever it is. If it doesn't state anything as to limitations, it's in perpetual existence. Corporations have centralized management through a board of directors. Their officers, all right, which are appointed by the board of directors. So a corporation has a board of directors. The board of directors appoints officers who run the day-to-day operations of the corporation. Okay? So the board sits. They decide on who's going to be president, who's going to be CEO, who's going to be the secretary. They appoint the board. Now the board runs the day-to-day operations. Okay? They set the direction for the corporation. Classifications of corporations. Domestic corporations are private for profit in which state it was incorporated. Okay? So a domestic corporation could be domesticated in the state of New York. So it's a private, for-profit business domesticated in New York. So it's a domestic corporation for the state of New York. It can in New York. So it can do business in all other states, but in another state, it's considered a foreign corporation. So we set up a corporation here in New York. It's private, for profit. It's a domestic corporation in New York. However, for Connecticut's point of view, it's considered a foreign corporation because it is does its business in New York. Okay? It's a foreign corporation in New Jersey. It's a foreign corporation in Pennsylvania. That kind of thing. In New York, it's a domestic corporation. Don't worry about that too much with regards to the quiz. Alien corporations or corporations incorporated in another country. All right? Alien corporations are those that are incorporated in another country. They can still do business here, but they were formed in Italy, Greece, Zambia, wherever. Okay? The incorporation procedure. How to incorporate your corporation. These are created by statute. Corporations must comply with state incorporation laws and statutes. You can incorporate in only one state. So if we incorporate here in New York, that's our home state. That's our domestic state. We cannot incorporate in New Jersey, Connecticut, or anywhere else. But again, we can do business in another state. Okay. Usually, incorporation procedure includes articles of incorporation, which name the corporation, the number of shares we're going to issue, 10, 10,000, a million. The address of the corporation. We're located at, 12 West 53rd Street. Again, an agent for service, someone who will accept, if we're going to get sued, somebody will accept service for us. And the name and address of each incorporator. Okay? So if I incorporate your business, I have to be included. As if you have an attorney, incorporate your business. Let me take a time now to do your question. Please answer this question. If you answer this question, you'll get a point. The question being, what is my middle name? Okay, the answer, Joseph. So if you, in the Dropbox, answer Joseph, you'll get a point. To continue on with our incorporation procedures, there needs to be corporate bylaws which govern the internal management structure. They also tell you the time and place of shareholder meetings and the time and place of board of director meetings. Quorums are necessary, all right, in board of director meetings, but we don't need to get into that. Quorum means that the bylaws say 10 out of the 12 board of directors need to be there in order to make a decision. If there's not 10, then no decisions can be made. Corporate bylaws also spell out what the corporate officers and duties are going to be, okay, and where all records will be kept. Will they be kept at 12 West 53rd Street, or will it be kept at one of the other sites, LIM sites, that kind of thing? Okay. Corporate shares. There are different forms of stock. Most common, for lack of a better term, is common stock. Equity shares that represent the residual value of the corporation. Creditors and preferred stockholders receive interest and dividend payments first before common stockholders. All right, so you have common stock, but you only get your dividends after all the creditors have been paid and after the preferred stockholders are paid. And then when there's ever left over, you get your interest and you get your dividend payments. Okay, they need to be paid first and then you. Common stock. All right, common stock holders elect the board of directors. Okay, so if you're a common stockholder, you elect who you want to be on the board of directors. The board of directors then names and appoints the officers, the presidents, the vice presidents, secretaries, and treasurer. Okay, but you as a common stockholder elect who those board of directors will be. You also, as a common stockholder, vote on important matters such as mergers. And you also vote You also receive dividends once the board of directors declares that dividends will be paid. Okay, dividends are something, if you own 10 shares of stock and they make money over the course of a year, instead of that money getting reinvested back into the business, the board of directors may say, let's give our stockholders some money and write each of our stockholders a check based on the amount of common stock they have, how many shares they have. Okay, board of directors formulate the policy decisions, what the business will be involved in, and elect the top officers. Like I said, they also declare dividends. So if I ask you on the quiz who declared just the dividends and when they're going to be paid to the shareholders, it's the board of directors. The corporate officers are, again, elected by the board of directors. Include the president, the vice president, it could be one or more vice presidents, secretary, and the treasurer. Those are your typical corporate officers. They may have different names and whatnot, but those are your typical board of directors. Okay? All right. This is a short video. I wanted to keep it short. Yes. Part 1 was longer. I wanted to keep this one a little bit shorter. Again, you have 6 various corporate forms: sole proprietorships, general partnerships, limited partnerships, limited liability partnerships, limited liability companies, and corporations. Okay? The question on the quiz may be, which form, if you were to start a business, which form of business would you set up and why? Okay? So think about it. All right. Good luck. Good luck on the quiz. Any questions, please feel free to reach out.